Another piece that we have to actually work on in order to create our scene that we basically want to represent to anyone is what it called a style. So far what we have done is that we just change the material within our scene. In the first couple of videos we create multiple scenes, including like a section, including the floor plan, including different perspective. And this time we're going to change the scene into a different style. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create one scene. I'm going to call this one. Let me just close this so I can see what's going on. I'm going to call this one perspective one. Perspective one. So by the way, for this tab to show, I mentioned this, you have to go to the window and then under the default tray, you find the scene and make sure that it is on. So this is my first, like basically, whenever I click, it's just gonna go back to where it was before. Now let's open up the style. Same thing, we're gonna go to the window, default tray, and making sure the style is on. So I'm gonna open up the style, and you can see by default that this style is like something that already set it up at the beginning of our works. It's architectural designer style. It has like a very white background, a very close to realistic color format. If I open up this, you see I have a multiple way of creating, like basically changing the style. So for example, I can go to the color set, I can click on this, changing this color set into the different format, and it's basically really depending on the purpose and the intention that I have. Sometimes I just want to create some sort of a graphic things for representation. Maybe I use this. Maybe when I use, like for example, something a little bit more sketchy to present it to the client, I use one of this sort of style. And as you can see, there are a lot of like a different feature that I can choose from. And even when I, for example, select a specific one, this is more like some sort of a handwriting type of sketch, I can go to edit and start changing the preference of that. So I can change the sky color, I can change the ground color, or I can add it, like for example, sky or a ground, or I can just turn them off. I can go with the different type of edge settings, and for example, don't want to have an edge, or I want to have an edge, I can change the level of detail, the style, the stroke style. So you have a possibility of changing things. You can change the font size, you can change the style of, like for example, if it's going to be hidden, is it going to be like a wireframe format, is it going to be like a color code to some extent. So you can change the whole setting of that style, but for the base you can use from the select menu, and then under the drop down you can use whatever format that you want. You can go to the photo modeling and then you just start adding this different like a setting, and then after you have that you can create your own. When you're done, what you basically can do is that you're gonna go on the scene and you're gonna create another one. So now if I scroll down here, I have scene 2, so I'm gonna call this one perspective 2, and it's gonna be with the photo modeling format, so PM as a photo modeling. So see what's gonna happen whenever I change my perspective to, like for example, scene 1, the whole perspective gonna be changing, the whole style gonna be changing. If you remember the first time that we work on this, we basically just work on, like for example, the perspective. This time adding the slide to that as well. So imagine if I want to, for example, go and create a section. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to go and then use the section plan, and I'm calling this one section 1, or yeah, section, we're going to keep it as a section 1, and I'm going to place the section 1, say for example somewhere right here. So now that I have section 1, I can go to the style, and I'm going to change the style to straight line, and I have multiple options, like for example I can use different format that I want, and then whenever I'm ready, I can go to the edit, start editing things based on what I want to have at the end. Like for example, I want it this way. I can change the edges. So it's going to be, the edge is going to be a little bit hollow. We're going to say the depth. We're going to give the profile, so it has a profile. We don't want it to have extension. We can add extension, or we can just leave that as an extension. We can change the color by material or not. And then when you're done setting this, you can go down here and say that this is another scene that I want to create. And we say that we're going to save the warning that you get is that would you like to do with your style changes, and that's basically what we're trying to do, because we change this style and we want to keep it as it is. So we're going to say save as a new style and then create the scene, and this time I'm going to call this one as a section. Okay, now when I click here or click up here, doesn't matter. That's basically, let me just move this. So that basically, let me just bring this down a little bit. So I'm gonna move this down. Okay, so this one goes move this up, we'll move this down to the list, so you can adjust the number of the scene or the sequence of the scene basically. So that's gonna be scene number 1. Then it changes style, it still keep the section view, and then on the last one it just go and then cut through the building. So if I go to the scene number 1, you see that I don't see any section plan. Here I see the section plan, and I don't want that to be seen in my view. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go here, select that, and then right click and then hide this in this view. Now what I have to do is that I have to update the scene. So I'm going to update the scene and then say all the things here I want it to be updated, and it's going to be updated now. So now if I go back to scene number 1, it's going to be that style. Second one without a section view, section plane, and then the last one I see the section view cutting through my building. So whenever I made any changes in my scene, the only thing that I need to do, I can just click on it, and then after that I can update the scene. After I made my edits, I can update the scene. Even on this one, if I change anything in the scene, then I can go over here and, for example, update it based on the new scene. So let's say, for example, I'm going to create a new scene. I'm going to call this one section 2. And in this section, first I'm going to hide this. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add another section plan, which is going through this piece. So I'm going to move this a little bit inside, making sure that in my set area for settings for the section, I kind of don't want to see as a fill, so I'm going to click on that one. I want to display a section cut as well, and then that's going to be my new section right there. And when I'm done, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to update this as a new section. And it's going to say yes, and that's going to be a new section here. So let's say check one more time. This is the first section we have, and this is the second one. Under the section 1, you see that now that I add this section, I have this section 1 place. It's just a matter of preference. Now I want to update this. I can just right click, hide this, and then say update this scene, update that. So when I go here, just cutting from one section to another section.